With the Diddy scandal in the news and all the accusations coming out, this kind of sounds like someone we know in Westeros. So we wanted to discuss which of these characters embodies the conspiracy level of Diddy within A Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah, this is going to be good. We have a couple of guys to talk about here, a couple of boys, and we actually have a theory that at least I haven't heard it talked about a lot, and it's kind of maybe a little bit of a stretch, but bear with us as we get to it. And don't forget to let us know in the comments who you think embodies Diddy the most in A Song of Ice and Fire.
All right, for both these characters, I think we can agree the bare bones minimum requirement is you have to be a long-term schemer with ambition, with wealth, with all these connections. So
obviously there's behind-the-scenes stuff too, but yes, there are definitely two big titans of this.
Right, and the first one that comes to mind when anyone ever talks about this is Littlefinger, right? He is one of the main characters or main players within Game of Thrones, right? He owns brothels, so he's well connected with prostitutes and getting people in their most vulnerable states. And let's just say this up front. If you call them sex workers or you refer to prostitutes as sex workers, go ahead, unsub and walk through the moon door for us real quick.
Yes, absolutely, dude. Littlefinger is a prime example of somebody who embodies BDE, Big Diddy energy, right? He's got it. He flaunts it all over the place. He's behind the scenes. He's a spy master. But in this case, I think the biggest thing that exemplifies Diddy, he's a blackmailer. He's a huge blackmailer, much more so than the other guy who's on this list. And as we know, one of like the cornerstones of the Diddy scandal is this whole bring either famous people or like will be famous people, right? Like potential people who can make the industry a ton of money. Right. Bring them in there, make them do debaucherous sexual acts, possibly with even underage individuals, which is something that Littlefinger does as well.
And encourage it, right? As they're like, no, I don't think that'd be cool. He's like, dude, it would be the coolest thing ever if you did that.
It'd be
like,
awesome.
Oh, really? Oh, really?
Yeah, exactly. Get in there, buddy boy. He has merchants in his pocket. He has distributors, portsmen. He's got importer, exporters like Art Vandelay. He's got them all in his pocket, man. He's got them all in his pocket. And how does he do it? He blackmails them. I mean, some of these guys he does straight up just pay as well, right? Like he's not going to be above that. A lot of it is just bribery and extortion. I think the main thing here is the blackmailing. And when I say the main thing, I mean the main thing that's unique to him. Not to mention, he's just an extremely good businessman, which I do think Diddy is as well. He has the crown by the balls because of all this debt that they're in. And for some reason, he seems to be the only one uniquely able to mitigate it. Right? I know he kind of puts the crown in debt, but then he's also the guy who kind of solves it and keeps it afloat. So I think he's like positioned himself perfectly, man.
What is that device used where you move a bead from one slider to the other? And it's like how they do calculations back in the day. You know what I'm talking about? What is that called? Comment down below what this item is called. It's escaping me what the item is called. But you always see in the prehistoric or the antiquity and Middle Ages, like they use this to calculate.
It's kind of prehistoric. It kind of looks like when the monkeys try to solve the equations, right? They have like the three metal poles. Triangle there, square there, circle there.
With people's understanding of money, it makes me think that maybe Littlefinger just knows how to use that really well. He's like, okay, well, 20 plus 20 equals 40. They're like, how did you do that? How did you solve that? But let's also put this on the table, right? Diddy is not his real name, right? It's a nickname. And the way Diddy got his nickname was when he was a kid, he would huff and puff. And eventually he just kind of left off the front part of that. And he just became Puff and Puff Daddy. Littlefinger, same way, kind of being made fun of by old Edmure Tully, which, I mean, if you're getting crushed by Edmure, dude, what the hell's going on? Gets crushed, gets named Littlefinger, and just kind of sticks, and it's very demeaning. But
no, dude, you're way off with the Edmure comment. Listen, Edmure's got some hidden Chad qualities. I don't want to talk about Edmure.
You're right. You know what? Dan and Dave are the ones that undercut our boy.
Dude, Edmure married a Frey. Are you shitting me?
That's true. Never mind. Edmure for the win. Edmure should be sitting on the Iron Throne.
At least.
But at least both of them have nicknames that one might perceive as demeaning.
There's a possibility of perceiving them as demeaning, but you know what? They embody them, and I guess Littlefinger doesn't like to be called that, but I guarantee he's aware of that, and it carries with it a lot of weight and intimidation, just like the Diddy thing does, if all is to be true about what he's being accused of, right? One of the last things I want to talk about here, too, just briefly, is the fact that Littlefinger is involved with not only blackmail, but some pretty high-profile assassination attempts and successful assassinations. Now, obviously, Joffrey at the Purple Wedding is going to be the biggest one, right? I mean, he dipped his hands in some dirty stuff there with Lady Olenna. You know, those two were shacking up, I think, behind the scenes. That's my little headcanon, but maybe not. It's the way I like to put myself into the Song of Ice and Fire universe. I like to live through Littlefinger, you know? I want to see what's underneath that headwear that Elena's got there.
It's not the worst VR experience that you could have in Westeros, but
he's involved in these assassination attempts, and as we know, this might be the most egregious thing that Diddy is accused of, being involved, again, really high-profile assassinations. It's not even necessarily enemies. Like Littlefinger and Diddy both, like knowing the names of some of these people that he's accused of, they don't seem like they'd be rivals. They seem like they'd be up each other's alley. But yeah, it's just behind the scenes monetary stuff, right?
Well, so then other aspects I don't think Littlefinger fully falls into the Diddy camp is it just seems Littlefinger has one business and Diddy had like a bunch of businesses. You know, he was like a huge media empire with like other kind of side businesses, right? It seems like Littlefinger really just has the one brothel and he's like master of coin, right? Correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments about all of the business dealings Littlefinger had compared to Diddy.
Well, if you're talking about fronts, I guess, yeah. But if you're talking about the true inner workings, I mean, Littlefinger has his hands in literally every industry in Westeros, you know.
Right, but it's not like, yeah, like you said, it's not nearly as much as like the second guy we're going to talk about here in a second. But
right, true.
One thing Littlefinger is better at is getting out before it gets too hot, because Littlefinger is able to escape to the Vale before the Faith Militant takes over. The High Sparrow goes around and starts cleaning up the place. And could you only imagine what would happen if Littlefinger was still within King's Landing when High Sparrow starts cleaning up the filth?
Oh, yeah, exactly, dude. He felt that water boiling. He's like, it's getting hot in here, man. I got to get out. If Littlefinger was in there, man, I feel bad for him, man. He's just trying to make his living and, you know, help these sex workers feed themselves. And the High Sparrow comes in there and puts them out of business.
Yeah, and now Diddy's arrested, so unlike Littlefinger, they do not share that quality of being caught, right? So Littlefinger...
Right.
Bests him on that, but makes him a little less like.
But also, I was going to say one other thing that I was going to say that I think separates them a little bit is that in real life, at least this is just my perception. This is pretty subjective, but Diddy doesn't really come off as like the mastermind type of figure. He almost seems like a Nick Fury type guy, you know, like in the Avengers movies, right? How Nick Fury, yeah,
in the movies, not like the comics.
Yeah, not like the comics, specifically in the movies for some reason. I don't know, but you know what I mean. Nick Fury is like the operations guy, the head of S.H.I.E.L.D., but he still answers to these shadow figures above him, you know, led by Alexander Pierce, right? The four what do you call them? Those like four council people of S.H.I.E.L.D. Same kind of thing. I just don't get the vibe that Diddy is the brains behind the operation. He seems like the fall guy. Otherwise, why would he be in Suicide Watch and all that stuff? You know?
Sure.
So I think that's a little bit of a difference, but that could be totally wrong. Maybe Diddy is the brains and the brawn. I don't know.
The other person I think embodies Diddy the most within Westeros, well, actually it wouldn't be in Westeros, just in the Song of Ice and Fire series, because he's mostly in Essos, is Illyrio, who if you're only a show watcher, we only see in Season 1. He's referenced, or at least we see his pals in Season 5 when Tyrion is over there escaping from Westeros. Illyrio, similar to Diddy, did not grow up in wealth, unlike Littlefinger. Littlefinger actually had some, I wouldn't say nobility, but he definitely had connections where Littlefinger was able to go stay in Riverrun. Illyrio grew up on the streets, and he made a friend with a bald eunuch, and they're able to kind of rise to the ranks with their, you know, charisma and just their grind set. I don't know what you call that. Bald eunuch, forked beard grind set. Print the T-shirts.
Yeah, right. Print the acronym on the T-shirt. That's 100% true. He did. He kind of picked himself up by the bootstraps or whatever you want to say, right? And that is something Littlefinger didn't do. But I mean, I'm not wholeheartedly convinced that Diddy did that either. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he was kind of brought in the same way that he brings in other people. You know what I mean? Kind of given that opportunity. Yeah. I'm just saying. Again, that's my Diddy head canon, right? That's my custom lore for the Diddy verse. But Illyrio, yeah, he's involved in so many different things. This goes back to what you said earlier about how Littlefinger only has one trade for the most part that we know of, you know. But Illyrio is like a slaver. He's into spice trading. He's just a catch-all merchant. He does seafaring stuff. He has his hands in literally everything. I don't know how he does it, man. Maybe that's why he gains so much weight. You know, he needs that excess energy. It's like fat gum in My Hero Academia.
Yeah.
You know, you got to have all that energy to expend, otherwise you're going to run yourself dry. I don't know. I think that this is a really good comparison. I'm not sure that I like it quite as much as Littlefinger, to be honest with you, because Illyrio doesn't seem like he's that into blackmail or sex stuff. You know, he doesn't seem like he almost seems like too nice of a guy. He's like a stand-up guy, possibly.
Well, man, what did people think about Diddy before all of this?
Yeah, did they think highly of him? I don't know,
sure,
man. Did they? Let us know in the comments what you thought of Diddy prior to these accusations.
or if you know anybody that met him, because at least Illyrio, he comes across as very charismatic. He's known to have like a honey voice, whatever that sounds like. It sounds pleasant, but I don't know if I could describe somebody I know has a honey voice. But unlike Littlefinger, Illyrio is behind everything, or is like more so operating in the shadows. He's not a figurehead like Master of Coin. Master of Coin is kind of up there. You know, it's like, oh yeah, I'm not the president of the United States, but I'm the Secretary of Defense. It's like, yeah, you're still like a front-facing person that they can
It's
identify.
pretty significant, yeah.
Yeah, person who's behind the scenes is behind the scenes. You don't even know their name. Who knows Illyrio's name that would be pulling the strings? And I don't know if Illyrio really wants people to know his name. He's like one of those billionaires that you're like, oh yeah, who the hell is this? They just invested in all these weird things, and now they're somehow, if you pull this thread, it just all comes undone. You're like, holy shit, he's behind everything.
Right, that is true, and I don't know why he's so open about what he wants to, or like, quote unquote what he wants. By the end of Dance with Dragons, he's like told several people that he's like his master plan is to be made the master of coin in Westeros.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Either by Viserys or whoever ends up taking over that he allies with. So I guess maybe young Griff or Aegon, a possible Aegon Blackfire at that point. Yeah, I don't know why. See, to me, it's like too consistent. You know that we're talking about this? I have a theory about Illyrio. I think he does not at all want to be the master of coin in Westeros, and I don't even think he has a desire for a Blackfire to sit on the throne, potentially. I think, and we all know, Illyrio gained an absolutely massive amount of weight after his first love loss. I think he wants to be the royal food taster. I think he wants to be the royal food taster, and he's been trying to get in there, submit his applications. He just can't get his way in. But if he puts a king on the throne, they owe him their lives, or they owe him their rule, at least,
Right.
Like,
or at
I'll
least
do
the
anything
first
for you,
bite of
Illyrio.
whatever they're going to eat.
At least the first bite. And Illyrio can come in and say, I'm a humble man. I'm not even going to ask you for anything. You can just make me, I don't know, meal taster or something. I don't know. I'm just spitballing. Exactly.
The whole time he's just shivers. Please accept this. This is the only thing I ever wanted.
I'll eat to the point where I can't even walk on my own. Varys will lube me up and slide me around like a seal.
Well, I don't know if you heard about this, but Diddy had like thousands of bottles worth of baby oil seized from his house. Did you hear about this?
It's all coming together.
And for whatever reason, when I thought, oh yeah, Illyrio's kind of like that, and then I thought Illyrio plus oil equals the Oliver Platt scene from Year One
dude.
with Michael Cera, and he's like, "Oh, don't you want to rub it in,
dude?" Okay, let us know in the comments if you know what scene we're talking about. Michael Cera is barely touching him, and he is absolutely loving every second.
He's having an orgasm.
Oh, he is. He's very Illyrio. Yeah, he's very Illyrio. Yep.
Yeah, that's
true.
my headcanon for Illyrio. That. But also, we talked about Blackfires. Illyrio is grooming a young talent, in Essos, similar to how Diddy did with Usher and with Justin Bieber. So
Allegedly.
Is Justin Bieber the young Griff of A Song of Ice and Fire if Illyrio is Diddy? Answer is yes. I'll give you the answer.
I was going to say, it's a no-brainer.
But yeah, the whole Illyrio has slaves, even though they're not allowed where he lives. He throws parties very similar to Diddy in that way. One thing, too, Illyrio had two wives. One of the wives died of an illness, and Diddy's first wife actually died of an illness. So there's a similarity in that way, too. But Illyrio keeps his wife's dead hands in his bedroom. For what? To remember her?
It's a weird body part to pick. How does he preserve it? In wax, or what's it preserved
I don't
in?
know. I would love to see the behind the scenes that Dan and Dave had in season 1. They're like, in this shot, we're going to see Illyrio's wife's dead hands here. So I want this shot to be perfect, please.
Yeah, please and thank you.
Maybe George is there licking his lips thinking, put the dead hands in there.
No, he'd preserve the nipples if it was George. Come on. Are you serious? This is amateur hour. He wouldn't preserve the hands. He'd preserve the nipples. See, there's a couple things about Illyrio that bother me, though, when it comes to him. He doesn't seem... if these accusations of Diddy are to be true, okay, he does not care about... what do you want to say, consent or anything like that. But we know that Illyrio at least somewhat does. He had an actual consensual relationship, which ended poorly. He is attracted to Dany, at least at the beginning when they first come to Pentos, and she's super young. And it turns him off to think that she wouldn't be into him because, he's kind of a fat, lubed up lard now or whatever. He knows that she wouldn't be into it, and it makes him like, you know what, that's kind of thing's not for me. Dude, if that was Diddy, that would have made it better for him. That would have sweetened the deal.
Okay.
So, that speaks to his whole mental space.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. Let us know which one you guys choose down in the comments. Lirio, Littlefinger, which one do you think is more like it? Or is there a third option possibly we're not even thinking of? But real quick, the theory I have, what I was trying to think about, I was doing a little research on Illyrio, right? And I was thinking, what if Dany somehow, this whole time, theory, big brain theory here.
Here we go.
What if Dany was actually a Blackfire, but she was just gaslit into thinking she was Targaryen this whole time?
By Illyrio.
What did she... or by Illyrio, by whoever, probably Illyrio would be
let's just say Illyrio.
the biggest one. Yeah, let's just say, throw a name out there. because she has no memories of Westeros. Her backstory is inconsistent, to say the least.
Oh, yeah.
And if she was just a white-haired girl living on the streets, she kind of looks Valyrian, or she looks very Valyrian, I should say, and someone came up and goes, you know what? Your family actually were the ruling family within Westeros. Basically what he's doing, like, allegedly with young Griff, it would work, right? Like, one of the two has to be probably a fake, and what if Dany's the fake one and young Griff is actually the real one?
Well, listen, that is a very compelling story, but I do have to poke a little hole. Ready? I'm going to poke a little needle.
Oh,
here we
hold
come.
on. Oh, okay, shit.
What about what about our boy? What about our dreamboat, Vizzy 3? What's his deal, man? The Giga Chad. What's his deal?
See, listen, this is
He's
why
too old to not remember.
I know. So this theory is kind of, I have to kind of work backwards. It's like, I want Dany to be a Blackfire. How do I make it work now? And Vizzy 3, of course, is 7 years old. Right around that age when he comes over. He has memories over there. I think even Barristan has memories of the series, so I'm pretty sure if the series, or, you can change a lot, I guess, in a little bit of time, like when you grow up, but maybe Barristan hopefully doesn't have photographic memory, because
maybe
when he sees them,
Barristan's a liar. You ever
don't
think of that?
say
He doesn't remember shit. He doesn't remember Viserys. Absolutely not. No way.
That boy ain't right. That one isn't there.
He had 3 minutes with me on Dragonstone before we shipped him off.
Hey, thanks for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and smash that like button.
Or not. We don't care.